Hello, my name's Chris, and I'm going to do another book review. This time, it's a really influential book of mine that helped me, get started in electronics, making pedals and stuff. It is the first edition of Electronic Projects for Musicians by Craig Anderton. So that's the cover there. And I got this book when it first came out, and I think it was in the 70s. The first printing was October 1975, second printing 76, and then there's a second edition, and it's just a great book. The forward is by Joe Walsh, which is really really cool, I think, because I'm a big fan of Joe Walsh, the Eagles of course, and the James Gang, and I play bass in a power trio. We do a bunch of James Gang stuff, and speaking of the James Gang, I got to play one time with Jimmy Fox, who is the original drummer of the James Gang. So he was real good friends with the drummer in our band. So, a lot of connections there. By the way, on my channel, you can find, I believe there's 2 videos I posted of that band I'm talking about, the Power Trio. And we do Walk Away and Funk 49. So anyways, but back to the book. So this book is really, really cool. When it came out, it was... I think the first book of its kind that talked about building your own guitar effects. Nowadays, there's a lot of companies out there making custom effects, but I actually built a lot of the projects in this book. At the time, you could actually buy, this is kind of cool, on the back cover, there was a company, it doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately, Godbout Electronics. Bill Godbout was the founder of that. So he made... kits you could buy that had a circuit board, etched and drilled circuit board and all the parts. So I think I ordered a bunch of those. I'm going to read through, there were like 19 projects. I'm going to kind of read through each one briefly, and if I built it, I'll mention that, and just talk about each one. But I don't think this edition is readily available. You might find it online somewhere. What's kind of cool is here's an example project. All the illustrations are hand drawn, and so there's no photos in here, but it's really really well put together, very well illustrated. Every project has a schematic of the project, and then the actual circuit board artwork, so that if you wanted to have circuit boards made, you could take that to a place that would make circuit boards, or even possibly make it yourself. So I'm going to read through what the projects were in here and just talk about each one and the ones I built. The first project was a preamp, basically like a single op amp preamp. I think I made that one. The second kit was a metronome, and I made that. In fact, I found this in my workshop. What this is actually 2 Craig Anderton projects put together, and they're on perf board. What's in this box is a headphone amp and a metronome. And I wanted to build this because I think when I built it, I was playing in this band, and on every gig I would bring this, and I played bass in that band. And with this unit, I could be anywhere. I could play it ran on batteries. I could plug in a pair of headphones, plug in my bass right there, and I could just practice bass with a headphone amp and also a metronome, so I could turn it on, just have a beat to play along with. And I think this one I even have, like everything's handwritten, there's a tape input, so I could actually plug in a cassette. Back then it was cassettes. We're talking like 1980s, 1990s, but I could plug in a cassette player. I could play along with pre-recorded music. This was way before MP3 players became popular, way before cell phones. So the controls on this, there's a control in the back for gain for my bass. Then there was a on the front is like a master volume, and then tempo and metronome volume, so I could adjust the volume of the metronome. So I'm not sure how well this will show up on the video, but there's a 555 timer chip right there. That was the heart of the metronome, and then there's an IC up there that was the heart of the headphone amp. So I believe both of these came out of the Craig Anderson book, and I made them on a perf board. So anyways, those are 2 projects right there. He had a there was a passive tone control project, which was kind of cool. It was like the simplest project in the book, but pretty useful. It had a transformer where you only wired up one side of it, so you used it as an inductor, and then a rotary switch, and then a bunch of different capacitors. So it would kind of form a notch filter. So you could get a lot of different tones out of it. It was all passive, so you would lose a little bit of level, but it was a cool project. The headphone amp I mentioned, there was a mini amp, basically a practice amp that would drive a speaker. Project number 6 was the Ultra Fuzz. This was a really interesting project. It was unlike any other kind of fuzz. That's like a hand drawing of what it would look like, but it was more like a waveform conversion device, and I think Craig mentions that in the book. That's the schematic for it and everything. And what it basically was, it was basically, I believe, a comparator, and if your signal level coming in was above a certain threshold, it basically took what came in and made it into square wave. So it was a really kind of raspy, very pronounced fuzz. You really wouldn't play chords with it much. It could get kind of mushy, but for single notes, it was pretty cool. So that was a cool project. I think I bought the kit for that because I remember making that and having it on a circuit board. Let's see what we got next. Then there was a bass fuzz, which was kind of a similar circuit as the Ultra Fuzz. A compressor, I definitely built that. In fact, I built a lot of these and I put them in an enclosure, and I had a rack mount, like effects unit that I was using for a while. Unfortunately, I sold it, I think, on eBay. So a lot of the stuff I built, I don't have anymore. But the compressor was really cool. I use that a lot, and I use it on gigs. I use it on some recordings I did at home. There was a ring modulator. That one I did not build. That's kind of an interesting effect. You can look those up and see what they do. They're a really interesting type of effect. The dual tone filter, that was like a wah pedal, and I was looking for it because I did build it. I'm trying to find it in my workshop. I don't have it to show right now in this video, but what I did was I found this thing, which basically what this thing was, this kind of functioned as like a wah pedal. Well, what it is it's a block of wood. There's a penny on the bottom, and there's 2 wires. There's a wire going to the penny, a wire going on top, and I think if all this is still intact, there's a wire right there. There's a penny on the inside, and then right in between the 2 pennies was a piece of the foam that CMOS chips are packaged in, like anti-static foam. And somewhere I read an article where if you compress anti-static foam, you can get a variable resistor, and sure enough, it works great. So I made this little foot pedal. It kind of has I wouldn't say no moving parts, but it's not a potentiometer. It's basically, as you push this part right down here, you're compressing the CMOS foam, and the resistance, I believe, goes down as you compress it. So this I plugged into the dual tone filter, which was kind of a wah pedal circuit, and I kind of had a wah pedal in a really compact form. So basically a block of wood. This is just a piece of plexiglass. So I'll find that kit and probably do a demo of it with this thing hooked up to it. So the wah pedal, the stereo tone control, I think I built that too. It was just a 2-channel control with a bass and a treble adjustment. A 9-volt adapter. I'm not sure if I built that. That was basically like a wall adapter that would give you 9 volts out to power effects. A bipolar adapter. I think I built that. There were a lot of kits in this book that Craig, his design was to use 2 9-volt batteries, +9 and a -9. So one of the kits was to make a wall adapter or a power supply that could give you +9 and -9 volts. Then there was a treble booster. I didn't build that one, but that's in here. Electronic foot switch system. This one was really interesting. I actually built a bunch of these, and it was a I'll find it right here. It was a foot switch system that you could retrofit into effects. That's a schematic of it. The heart of it is a CMOS analog switch. It's a 4016, and if you look it up, it's a really cool part. It basically lets you switch audio signals the way Craig designed it, with like instead of having to have a double throw switch, you could just use a single pole switch, and it also has an LED indicator on it. This thing was really useful. I built a number of these. I put them in a bunch of effects I had built, and I was able to remotely control a bunch of effects. I had a little foot switch thing with several foot switches and LEDs, and I was able to turn effects off and on with this circuit. So it's a pretty clever design, and he explains how to retrofit it with the project in this book as well as other commercially available effects. And after that, there was a tuning standard, basically a device that would put out a certain pitch, so you could tune your guitar. The super tone control, that was a really cool project. I built that one too. In fact, that one I still have, and it is in a set of bass pedals that I'm going to do a video on. This is that project here, super tone control. Is a really versatile control. It had 3 toggle switches: high pass, band pass, and low pass. A resonance control, output level, and then a cutoff frequency. So you could do a lot with it, and it's a really cool project. Like I said, it's in a set of bass pedals I made. I used it to really filter the tone from the bass pedals. And after that project was a AC tester, basically a neon bulb in a box, but that could be useful. And then a 8-channel mixer. So he had a mixer project in there. So once again, really great book. I got to meet Craig Anderton once at a music conference. It was really cool meeting him and hearing him speak. He's got some really great video interviews on YouTube that I found, and just a really neat guy. Craig, if you're watching this, thanks for the book and for your inspiration. So that's kind of an overview. This is the first edition. It wasn't hardbound. The book wore out, and I had a friend of mine who worked at a bookbinding company, and I gave him, the paperback version, and he was able to bind this. He bound this one for me, and the version 2 of the book. So it did not look like this when you bought it. It looked like this when you bought it. So anyways, hope you found this useful, and thanks for watching. Bye.